5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
On the edge of the box is Madden. Madden trying to manufacture the shot, gets it away, it's there! Oh my word! What a goal from Paddy Madden! The Irishman strikes again! And is that the goal that's going to send Stockport County back into the Football League?
Hello and welcome to this very special bonus episode of the Scarf Bergara Award, the podcast and YouTube live show for county fans by county fans. This, of course, is in addition to Wednesday's usual live show where myself and Russ will be going over the Doncaster and Gillingham games. Please win tomorrow, otherwise that's going to be an unbearable hour or so. Right, we'll get the housekeeping out of the way first. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button as it all helps. So I'm told anyway, I've not looked into it like anything else. If you want to help support the show beyond consuming the myriad of content we offer, you can join the TSBW fan club on Patreon, where just £3 a month gets you access to audio episodes immediately after broadcast, a full 36 hours before general release, as well as discounts on merchandise, priority tickets for live shows, and much more importantly, you'll be supporting the show that's taken us from the depths of the National League North all the way up to the top end of League. I mean, we didn't do it. Like Park and Bramall and Gannon and Stott, Wilson and Challenge, they're the ones who did it, but we were there and we've got the podcast to prove it. So without any further ado, let's get our guests out, shall we?
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, share and subscribe. And for the audio podcast, please rate, review and recommend us on whatever podcast player you are listening to us on. Cheers, thank you.
It's just exactly what I said. Right, I am delighted to be joined by Dave Marchbank from the Stockport County Supporters Cooperative, Paul Sharrocks, Stockport Gin, and of course our ace sculpture extraordinaire. We have got Hannah Stewart. How are we doing, folks? Thank you for joining me.
Hello. It's lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you. See, you're basically a fan now, Hannah. That's it. That's it. You've been dragged to Edgeley Park, and you've been dragged on here, which is the two. Just that and a tattoo to go now. That's it. You're nearly there.
Yeah. Won't be long.
Yeah, it's getting there. And I haven't got a tattoo yet. So if you beat me, I'm too squeamish, so it's not going to happen. Right. So obviously, as we all know, the co-op have had this amazing initiative where we'll get a statue of Danny Bergara, and going very well. Hannah is the lucky lady who's been commissioned to do that statue, and I thought we'd be nice to get a little update because it's getting towards that point now where we're going to get to see it. So Hannah, what's new? How's the process going?
Yeah, well, it's well underway. The way I work is I model my sculptures in clay first of all, and then they're cast into bronze. I've made the clay sculpture, that's finished. So the life-size clay is complete, and the foundry have been into my studio and they've made a mold of it, and it is now being cast into bronze.
It's exciting, isn't it? From the point where this idea was first mooted, for it to be so far along the process now, it's great, isn't it, Dave?
Absolutely, it's fantastic, and it's particularly fitting that Danny's the manager that we all want to remember, and he's done such a lot for the club, and he's such an infectious character. So, on so many levels, it's just fantastic that we've got this work being done and commissioned. And obviously, I've been involved in the process for a little bit, and I can tell you it's going to be stunning. We've worked so hard and involved all Danny's family, which is really made the difference with regarding getting the detailing right, because obviously Simon and Ellen particularly have been really driving the little changes to make it absolutely as much as you see the actual end result, you're going to be stunned. It's fantastic. It is exciting, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, having their input was fantastic. That really helped.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, there's only so much you can get from photographs. Obviously, being able to talk to people who actually knew him and knew him so well, and having their feedback was invaluable.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
is it that was going to be my next? This is great, this, because I don't even ask. People know what I'm going to ask before. We should just do this every week. Let's just toss off every other podcast. Let's just do this every week where people know what I'm going to ask. Yeah. So how important is that in the process then, actually getting a sense of what the person was actually like from people who knew them? Is that vital to you, Hannah?
It is vital. It's hugely important because, I mean, I can get it to a certain stage, but then really getting that personal input from people who knew Danny, who could say to me, things about like his hair, for example, I think seems to be a really particularly strong characteristic, and just giving me the confidence to go for it and add some more hair, and really just talking about some little details to do with the clothing and what rings he would wear, and what fingers. And also, of course, really trying to get an expression that people felt was very typical of him and recognisable.
Obviously,
Very
I met you
important.
at we had the Meet the Sculptor event that was held at the club. Was it September time? I think it was. It was
Yes.
earlier in the season, wasn't it? And that must have been quite the experience, getting to be in this place where he made his name. Must have helped bring it to life even more for you.
Yeah, that was wonderful to actually go to the ground to meet people who had worked with him, who'd played for him, and just hear some of the stories of from everyone in the audience. It was wonderful. Just helps make him come to life. So then I can go back and look at the photographs and understand more than just the image, and start trying to get a picture of the man. Yeah, who was clearly just a fabulous character with a real sparkle in his eye. And just, it's wonderful to hear more and more
He,
about him.
he really had the likability factor, Danny. But I mean, to be absolutely clear and fair, he wasn't just a likable character. He was a very talented manager and somebody who turned the fortunes of the club round in an incredible way, because we'd gone a long time without any success before Danny came, and the times we had under Danny was incredible. We reached the semi-final of a major cup competition under Danny, and 4 Wembley appearances. And I remember particularly once when we first got to Wembley, I was going up to Edgeley Park for some tickets, and there was old guys there. They were nearly in tears because I can't believe it. We're watching Stockport County at Wembley, it was fantastic. And I touch on another thing because, like you say, all the players speak so passionately about Danny, and you can tell there was a real bond there, wasn't there? They speak so highly of him. It's always you'd speak to any of his ex-players, and they all
Yeah,
smile when you start talking about him. Because he
for
had
me,
that.
for me, he's one of those people that no one's ever got a bad word to say about him. I've never
No.
heard anyone say anything bad about Danny Bergara, and I think that kind of sums up the type of person he was.
Absolutely. And as I say, a very talented manager in the process as well. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really fitting that we've got this statue being built, and it's really exciting as well. So there's a lot of work gone into it, and still going into it. Because we spent, like Hannah said before, we've had so many Zoom meetings, and we spend ages just looking at the finer points and comparing photos. And I'll be honest, there's one photo that sticks in my mind, because when you put the statue at the same angle and you look at the photo, it looks exactly the same as the photo. And I'm not exaggerating. It's absolutely stunning. It's fantastic. So there's, and it's not just like Hannah said, it hadn't just arrived, because when we first started having the Zoom meetings, there's been a lot of work since then, hasn't there, Anna, with just minute changes and things that we've had to say, could you just go and change this again? And
yes,
but we've been very clear which sort of little changes we felt would make it. And as I say, really, to be honest, that's been driven by Danny's family. And it's been great to have them involved in the process as well, because they've been, they're the one that knew him best, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Going back to my visit to the club, actually, I was also just so struck by how much he is loved and valued now, and that, I mean, the fact that it was obviously quite a long time ago now that he was manager, and the fact that that love is still so strong, that's quite amazing to witness that, to really see it.
Yeah, I mean, I never saw us play a game under Danny. My first game was about a month or two after Danny had left. But I mean, I'm doing a podcast that's named after him and stuff. So
yeah.
Just kind of shows like what an effect he had. I mean, even those great times we had after Danny had left, it was all put in place by him. It was all the people that he brought to the club. Whether
he
it be Dave
built
Jones,
everything, didn't he?
He built everything from the ground up, and it was a wonderful journey, wasn't it? And that's, it set the club up for what it is now, really. Even though we've been through some hard times going out the league recently, when you look at where the club are now, and especially this season, we've had 4 or 5 sellout games, and for a second division club, it's quite extraordinary. In fact, on Saturday I was at the I went for the drink before the game, and there was some Scousers at the bar, so I just had a quick chat with them. I said, "Are you here to see the game?" And he said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, what is there any?" And they said, "Well, you just come and watch 1 or 2 games from around the region, kind of thing." And today it's Stockport, and they went and sat down, and I thought, do you know what? So I went over to them and said, "I'm not being rude, have you got any tickets?" And they said, "No." I said, "Well, it's sold out the home match, And they couldn't believe it. I said, "Yeah, it's sold out." I said, "If I were you, go to the ticket office and tell them you're away fans, because if you ask for the tickets for the home end, you're going to get turned away." So, a little story of but like you say, really, a lot of it's been built on the back of Danny's efforts, and I think that's been recognised by most of the supporters, and it's one of the reasons he's still so popular, because people recognise the club pre-Danny and the club post-Danny, and the 2 different entities, really. It's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hannah, we will let you go. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'd imagine we'll see you at the grand unveiling.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, can't wait.
Excellent. We'll get the pints in.
I will.
Well, get the gin in.
The gin, of course.
Well,
yes.
We shall be getting on to with Paul and Dave very shortly. Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always.
Oh, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye, Nick.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Cheers, Hannah.
Oh, lovely. Oh, see, I obviously knowing about the appeal and everything. Then I hosted the Meet the Sculptor event at the club, and it was just seeing it brought to life like that. I mean, I knew it'd be good anyway because of the work that had gone into it. But then to see how safe the hands were that it was in, it's great. It's going to be something really special when it's done, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's going to be. It really will be impressive, and that's been the aim all along. And obviously, like I say, what people won't really know about until perhaps now is that the amount of work that's gone in, and the amount of changes that's happened to get especially his face and hair, and absolutely to the point where honestly it's as good as one angle, it's as good as the photograph. What we did, we took photographs. Some of the photographs of when he was at Wembley, one of the Wembley trips, and there was one, the sort of famous almost photo of when he was stood on the town hall steps, and that was a very iconic sort of moment. And but as I say, from one of the angles, I've compared it, and I'm thinking you can't see any difference. It's that good, and that's like you say, that makes it really exciting. The other thing I wanted just to outline regarding the statue is obviously just a little bit of clarity from the co-op's point of view. We have to say the fans and sponsors, people like Paul at Stockport County, have been fantastic, and most of the money, well, certainly the money for the statue is in place. What we're now looking at doing is having some lighting from ground level lighting so that it can be illuminated at night. We've had some quotes. They're not cheap, but like in many things, you want to get what you pay for. And certainly with the lights being outside, we need to get good quality lights that are weatherproof and are going to last, because we don't really want to be just having lights and then conk out. And so, so this comes at a cost, and that's where we are now. Is we're looking to raise a few more pennies to make sure we've got the money for the lighting as well, and that's part of where Paul comes in and is helping the co-op with regard to the sponsorship. And without people like Paul, I mean, without all the fans and all the sponsors and people like Mark Stott, who is quite well known, has made a very generous donation. Having said that, it should be remembered that there's still the vast majority of the money for this statue, and it's not a cheap thing, is been raised by the supporters. And I think that's something we can be immensely proud of, because, we're talking about a lot of money here, and it's going to be amazing. And I'd like to think that everybody who contributes can actually look back, and when they see the statue and say, I've bought a bottle of gin and some of my money's gone to that, making that statue, because without the fans we wouldn't be able to do it. It's as simple as that. It's the fans that have raised the majority of this money, and it's a tremendous testament to the supporters. And we're really, really excited and working very hard to make sure that we deliver a thing that's in keeping with the kind of improvements that Mark Stott's been involved with, improving the infrastructure at Edgeley Park, because the ground's just amazing now compared to what it was. And everything's done to a high standard, and that's what we want to carry on with. So we're very grateful to people, especially like Paul in the Danny Gin, and we'll get onto that in a minute, can't we? But like I say, please help us and support the new initiative that's coming out, because we do need a few more quid. And I think working with a local company, Paul and Cheryl are both county fans. It's just a perfect link up, and I've bought a couple of bottles of gin, the gin, Danny Gin, and it's fantastic gin as well. So win-win all round.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to it, because I'm just so excited that we've got an exclusive announcement being done on the show. I'm just going to drag it out for another minute or two. So thank you to everybody who's already tuned in. We've got friends like Ian Dowden, Silo. Of course, Silo Mass is tuning in. He saw the word gin, and Silo Mass tuned in. We've got Matt Bryan
at 7 o'clock this morning, I think.
Just waiting. Ian Dowden. Phil County says you can swear again now, Nick. I discussed this last week. I am a family-friendly entertainer now. My mum walked past while I was doing this show the other week and was absolutely disgusted. By disgusted. Yeah. So I'm cleaning it up. Phil County says, can you add the donation link to the description? I will do that exactly right now while this announcement goes out. I'll put the link in the comments now, and I will also put it into the episode description after. So, gentlemen, big announcement. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we started talking to the co-op it was probably about 18 months ago now, about doing something with them to help raise some funds. And obviously, we toyed with ideas, and us making a limited edition gin just seemed a good fit, and we could use it as a way to raise funds. So pretty much 12 months to the day, near enough, I think it was about 3 or 4 days ago, we launched, or we announced the first batch of what was going to be Bergara gin. And we never knew how it was going to go, and we came up with this idea of making this gin that was inspired by Danny's homeland of Uruguay, and using as many botanicals from that area that we could. And we kind of, as Dave said, me and Cheryl are both massive county fans. So to do something like this and help something like this is a big honour for us doing what we do. So yeah, we launched it, and it was one of those. We never knew quite how it was going to go. Is it going to be a success? And we launched it for pre-orders. batch 1 pretty much sold out well before the launch date. So we did a second batch. We ended up doing a third batch. And I think we raised just over £2,000 for the statue fund. And as Dave said, they're at a critical point now where it's kind of that last final push to dot the I's and cross the T's. So yeah, the exclusive announcement is that a new batch of Bergara gin is available to buy right now, as of this second.
And where can they go to buy that, Paul?
Just head to our website, www.stockport-gin.com. And there is a link on there under our gins, under the shop for Bergara gin. That'll take you there. It'll give you all the information available. Bottles are 70 cls for the gin. They are £38 a bottle again, with 20% of that £38 going directly to the co-op into the statue fund. And obviously, the more bottles we sell, the more money we raise, and everyone's happy.
Absolutely, I'd echo those sentiments. Absolutely, and as I say, I'm not just saying this. I'll tell you a quick little story because I like a drink, I must admit, and
so
my wife's.
Well, I'll do. That's why we're here.
We probably get on very well, but my wife's almost teetotal. The only thing she'll actually drink is she'll have the occasional glass of wine with a Sunday lunch, and the other thing that she does like is gin. And sort of, if I'm being quite honest, my sort of go-to drink for the show it'd be dark rum. So because I like dark rum, there's never any of it in, because if they've got it in, I'll drink it. But all our friends, because they know that Sandra doesn't really drink, but she likes gin, they all give us gin. So I've had when I haven't got anything in the cupboard, the next if I haven't got any dark rum, I go for gin. And I've had a lot of experience of drinking gin because we have so much of it gifted to us. And so I do like it. I do like a gin. And when I went to the launch, they had a launch at Our Ladies, didn't you, that time? And,
we did indeed, yeah.
And I bought a couple of bottles, and I was really impressed with how good it is. And I think it was interesting what you say, because, I don't really know what goes into the gin other than what it tastes like, but you can taste it. It's actually different, and it's very, 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 very nice. So, like you say, if that isn't a good enough reason, all the reasons that we've been talking about to support a local business and the co-op, another good reason for buying it is because it's very, very good. So, really, really impressed with that. And thanks again to Paul and Stockport Gin for this link up. It was when they got back in touch. I mean, it was the comment that stood out for me was that it was, because the first time you launched a gin, it had gone so well, and like you say, you ended up selling like 3 batches, but there'd been people asking about it, so it become almost a no-brainer really that we should do that and try and help, get the rest of the money that we need to get the lighting as we want it, so that when we come to unveil the statue, which hopefully will be the last game of the season when we play Hartlepool at home. Well, that's if we're not in the playoffs, I suppose. But the last normal game of the season is when we're planning to unveil the statue. And, up to now, things are going according to plan on the timescale. So, we're very hopeful that'll be the case. And like you say, Hannah will be coming up for it. And, I'm hoping all the people that have been involved, the sponsors that have put the money in and helped, will come to see what they've helped deliver. Yeah, it's really good.
That would really be good. I mean, I'm just glad that Stockport Gin's still standing after they let us reprobates loose.
There's me thinking he was going to mention COVID, but no.
No.
COVID, no. Yeah.
We're getting comments in. Gaz Enders in the comments doesn't usually like a gin, but really enjoy Paul's. Same.
Thank you very much.
You were very much a gateway gin for me, Paul. I've never been a big gin drinker, and then
I always tell
couple
people,
of yours, and that's it now.
when people, the best ones are, when you get people coming on distillery tours and the women have dragged their husbands along and they come in with a face like thunder.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge then. You're like, I'll convert you by the end of this night. And they do. They always go away happy because they're like, oh, I've never tasted gin like that. But most people think of like Gordon's and Schweppes as a gin and tonic, but there's a whole different world out there. And if we can convert people to at least my gin, then I'm happy.
I'm happy. I'm happy when I drink it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, the other thing to mention about the gin is, there it is obviously the amazing label design as well by Rick Pennington, who should get a lot of credit for the work that he put in designing that label. And, he charged no design fees for that as well. He donated all his design fees directly into the statue fund. So it's good to see his designs back on a bottle as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see.
Absolutely.
It's to fund a statue of someone who put Stockport on the map, and it's by creators who are putting Stockport on the map. So what more can you want?
Yeah, county fans as well. It's the full package. So there's literally no reason not to buy it.
No, absolutely. I mean, it makes you proud to be from Stockport, doesn't it? I mean, it could be worse. We could be United fans.
Yeah. And you couldn't have used that joke a week ago.
No.
Oh dear.
That's as topical as it gets, that is.
Yeah.
Kyle Williams says, must say it's the only drink me and the missus like together. Think you may have made us stay together longer. So it's not all good news, Paul, for Kyle's missus.
Depends who you are. Kyle's happy.
Yeah, he's happy. She's happy. As long as, I mean, I get called a miserable bugger on here, but as long as people are happy, I'm happy, and I think that shows in my face. So that's the main thing, isn't it? As well as the gin, which you can get at all the W's, stockport-gin.com. The link that is there in the comments, as is the link to the statue fund. But Dave, there's a couple of other initiatives going on to help improve the fund. Am I right?
At the co-op. Absolutely, Nick. There's absolutely, there's a lot of things going on at the co-op at the moment, and there's in particular special shout out and mention to Damon Carroll and Simon Dawson, who, believe it or not, are going to be having a cycle ride from Hartlepool's ground to Edgeley Park, and going to do it over a couple of days with the intention of getting back to Edgeley Park in time for the statue launch. And this is to help raise money for the mental stroke information, but also the Danny statue. Obviously, both massive county fans, and I take my hat off to them. I'm going to make a donation to them after this.
I thought you were going to say you would cycle with him then.
Well,
no,
I'm
building up then.
Another announcement.
No, I'm
going to watch from a distance.
But it's an incredible because Hartlepool's a hell of a way, and doing that over 2 days, I'll take my hat off to them. But they definitely have a Just Giving page. I'll just read that out very quickly for me. www.justgiving.com/campaign/STREK. And that's apparently stands for Star Trek. But as I say, to do that in support of the mental stroke information and the Danny statue is a magnificent effort by both of them and by the support team who are helping them and presumably trying to slap them if they're going to fall asleep or whatever and mend the punches, etc. So. No, I mean, as I say, both really good guys, and the support with that I'm sure they'd be most appreciative of. So another thing to look out for, and and support hopefully, because that's something I wouldn't be able to do, I don't think, anyway. So Yeah.
No, I mean, cycling to the end of the road would be too much for me. I think, especially with my legs. I don't think I'm.
I've not even got a bike, so I've got no chance.
Well, no, me neither. Yeah, that's not what's holding me back. But I've not got one, so.
Oh dear.
What I'll do, I'll put the link for that in the episode description as well, so people could. So all the links we've mentioned here will be in the episode description. And Dave, there's also a pool league going on. Am I right?
There is. Yes, we talked about this at the at our board meetings, and one of the co-op members has organised. It's a social event essentially. Pool nights, which are going to be held at Hazel Grove Snooker Club, 7:30 start. The next one being on Monday, the 13th of March, and Callum Wamsley is the organizer for that. I think it's going to be, something that it's just have a game of pool, kick back, relax, have a drink, and a chat about county. It sounds good. It sounds good. So we said we'd give that a shout out, and thanks for that. But yeah, 7:30 start, Hazel Grove Snooker Club. If you're interested, brilliant. Monday the 13th of March.
See, that's the type of thing I can do. There's no bikes involved. That's where I can get. That's where I can get involved. Yeah. Now it's talking my language.
Again, somewhere else with a Barnick.
Yeah, starting to sense a theme, eh? Yeah. Oh God. Have we covered everything to do with the statue? That's everything that was on my list, but I may have missed something.
Yeah, I mean, from us, I do keep looking at my phone because the orders have already started pinging in for gin. So I just wanted to check that my website was working, but it definitely is because the orders are coming in. So thanks for everyone that's ordered so far. And all we'll say is, if obviously it's online, but it will be available in our shop in the town centre when we open on Wednesday as well. So if you don't want to order online, then just come along and you can meet me in person and buy a bottle off me there and then.
And you can see the blue plaque that's there for how much I drank over Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've put up by now.
I think it's somewhere, yeah. Can't remember where.
Yeah. Put one for the bit where Sam Byrne nearly fell over as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair enough. But before we wrap up, then should we have a little chat about Saturday, so I don't have to do it on.
Do
Wednesday?
We have to?
Bit uninspiring, yeah.
I don't know. Saturday was one of those days, First, if we'd have scored first 10 minutes, we'd have scored 3 or 4. But I think they got the shock of their life in the first 10 minutes. We flew out from kickoff, and then after that, they shut up shop and they were happy with the point, and it was a complete stalemate, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
There was no breaking them down.
That we didn't have the gall to break them down because, like you say, they weren't very adventurous. They set up to frustrate us, and they did a pretty good job after the first 10 minutes. And like you say, that said, I mean, we're still in a playoff place, and we've got tomorrow, which is a big game, isn't it? Now we really could do with the 3 points
definitely.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Gillingham game's become a different thing now, hasn't it? Because when it was originally lined up before Christmas, it was before they'd had their takeover and signed a load of players. They were looking certs for relegation at that point. You think that's guaranteed 3 points when we played them then, and now you're thinking, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play this bit on Wednesday night. When Russ asks me what I thought of Saturday, I'm just like,
I've already covered this when you didn't turn up on Monday.
Job done. Quickly, one last thing on the statue, actually, from Gazendo. Exactly where is it being situated? Do we have the spot decided?
Well, I'm led to believe, and I could be proved wrong on this, but as far as I know there's been discussions between obviously the co-op and the club, and my understanding of it at the moment is I think it's going to be roughly where the Frog is at the moment. So where that's going to be moved to, I don't know. But, and I think that's to me, sounds like a good place to have it because obviously for the people who are going in the county courtyard, they'll be able to see it. And obviously even the away fans, a lot of them will come down and get their away tickets and they'll be able to see the statue in front of them. So, yeah, I think unless there's something that I've missed, that's where we're talking about having it. And unless there's something that prevents us having it I think that's where it's going to end up, roughly where the Frog is at the moment. So, obviously in the Cheadle End car parking, so it'll be safely under lock and key at night. And but like you say, it would be a good. It does make sense to have it there. So whether there's any issues, we've obviously in conversations with the club regarding the lighting and what's needed, and so that might have a bearing on it. But roughly, that's where we're looking at.
Tremendous.
Could have just mentioned as well, Nick, before we disappear, there is something else that, although it's not, it's not till September, but we have got a date for the Hatters Half. That's going to be Sunday, the 3rd of September. And I mention it now. I'm not even sure if we've got the website up and running yet. But having said that, obviously, if people are interested in running, or they know they've got friends who are involved in running clubs, and people might need some time to actually build up practice and prepare for it. So, the Hatters Half is something that's very labour intensive. We have a lot of marshals, and we need the marshals because a lot of the sections are on. We have to go over busy roads and things like that. So the marshals are key to ensuring the race's safety. And what we've found before is that sometimes if you get running clubs involved, if people prepare for it and then they pick up an injury, they might not be able to run, but some of them will come and help with the marshalling. And the race has always been had fantastic feedback about the standard of the marshals, but that requires a lot of help. And so if anybody has links to people who are runners, especially if they're in athletics clubs, if they could potentially let the clubs know, and then we can always send them links to the half marathon, and contact us if they're asking if there's anybody could volunteer to help with the marshalling. That would be much appreciated. As I say, I understand it's early days, we're only in March, but as I say, if people want to prepare for the race, and to be honest, running a half marathon isn't something you should be doing. Think on a Friday, oh, that's a good idea. So I thought it worth mentioning, but I appreciate that.
Yeah,
cool.
No worries. We'll put all the links for everything we've mentioned. I will put in the episode description as well. That just about wraps it up. Well, when we do go, chaps, just don't leave just yet, because I want to. We always do this every week. Like, people just leave and we don't get to thank them properly. So just stick around for a minute after, and then I can thank you. We can talk about all the people. Always good, isn't it? Right, Gazendo, you're doing it this time, Nick. No, because I was meant to do it last year, and then they told me if I did, I'd die. So yeah, just end it on a high note. Yeah, just end like a really optimistic episode. This is an episode that's been run by me, and it's actually been optimistic. So let's not bring it down, shall we? Right. Thank you to Hannah Stewart for joining us earlier. Dave, thank you for joining us. It's much appreciated. Paul, thank you for joining us. It's much appreciated.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Anytime, gents. You're always welcome. Especially when Russ is here, because you got to balance him out, because he's just crazy. He's off the chain. We've got to balance him out. Right, we'll be back on Wednesday night, myself and Russ, with the weekly show. And God, if we don't win tomorrow, that's going to be fairly depressing. Not as depressing an hour as it was when we had to do it in the National League North. Like, I think.
No. I mean, it needs to be remembered. But playing, I mean, it would be disappointing if we didn't make the playoffs, wouldn't it? But having said that, like you say, compared to first season back in the league, it wouldn't be the end of the world, would it? If we, it might be. A little.
It will be for some, but anything could be the end of the world for some, I think. Well, I'm gonna say it again. So I'm saying it as much as I can, but I still think we'll finish top 3. I'm saying it as much as I can so that there's a record of it. Just so it's out there that I said it. I still think
top 3 is definitely available. I think anyone puts a good
it was
run
good to
together.
see Paddy back, wasn't it, on Saturday?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough, he didn't play a lot, but hopefully he might potentially see more of him tomorrow night, and it's always good having a goal scorer
back
in the ranks. So it
just needs to
wasn't all negative.
Sars, Horsefall, all that.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
can possibly go wrong? Right, I'll take a clip of that as well, and I'll use that on Wednesday night. Right, cheers for joining us. Thank you for watching and tuning in. This will be available as a audio podcast to subscribers straight away, and then it will be out Wednesday morning on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places, all the usual. Right. I'm just stalling for time while I try and find the right button to press to end it. I found it. I found it, which is good. Russ always presses the buttons. I just turn up and do nothing. Right. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for joining me, chaps. Ta-ra, everyone. This episode of the Scarf Bergara War was written, recorded, and produced by Russ Johnson and Nick Lee. The music on the opening titles was produced by Dan Johnson. Subscribe wherever you get your content, as well as finding out how to join the TSBW fan club. Check out the links in the description or go to all the W's, scarfbergarawar.co.uk.